Welcome to the 4Cs podcast for SAP Business One, brought to you by Third Wave Business Systems. I'm Mike Ham, and my colleague Tyson McMurran, bringing you a podcast that takes a deeper dive into the ERP system that is SAP Business One. We'll be hosting product experts and members of the Business One community, helping you, a Business One user, get the most out of SAP Business One. Hello and welcome back to the 4Cs for SAP Business One podcast. I'm Mike Ham. With me as always, my colleague Tyson McMurran, and we have episode 14, Control, Real-Time Inventory Management. Tyson, let's jump right into it. And what is inventory management? It's the process of keeping track of inventory sales and purchases using software to trace them as soon as they occur. What do you think of outside of this definition? What does inventory management mean to you in terms of the business?
Your organization has a lot of touch points with both your vendors and your customers. So all of your trading partners are interacting with you at this inventory level. So, while cash flow is kind of the lifeblood, the inventory is that vehicle to kind of get you to that cash flow.
Yep.
So it's really important for you to, have a really good handle on exactly everything that's going on within your inventory, so that you can gain visibility to what's happening with that stock, both from a vendor management perspective and also from a customer service standpoint. So the supply chain right now, Mike, with it being so choked, inventory management is really, really relevant right now because of that. Not only because you have customers that are ordering items that might be back ordered and you don't know when they're going to come in, because you don't really need real-time inventory management to do that. It's more important for you to be able to forecast and know what you have in stock. And this becomes really important if you're in that multi-channel arena where you have inventory all over the place, and that customer service side of things becomes even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's dive into some of those benefits. You talked about reliable information being one that you touched upon, and understanding, how much of what you have for what. And that brings you right into the second benefit, is the saving of time and money, because when you have that reliable information, you're able to provide a more accurate update to customers and partners, saving you the time and money to understand that. The enhanced scalability, right? That's going to allow you to grow. That's going to allow you to identify trends more easily, because if things are in real time, you can identify when you see, a product start to sell more quickly or more rapidly, when otherwise you can look a month down the road and be like, oh, we sold a bunch of that, product XYZ. I wonder why that was. When did that even pick up? Right? And that takes you right into number 4, reliable reporting, right? Because you're going to be able to pull this, the whole point of this, right? Real time. You're going to be able to report in real time. You don't have to wait for a month down the road, a quarter, what have you, to look back and understand that trend. This also tie right into organizing your warehouses better, right? Because you have that real-time inventory, because it's so important to keep up with these things, you can understand that in real time. And this all is going to contribute to an improved customer experience. Out of these, Tyson, what are some of the ones that jump out to you?
The reliable information becomes probably one of the biggest things that we see around benefit, and obviously, as you mentioned, number 4 with the reliable reporting coming from that. But once you have reliable information and you're not managing by shoe leather, walking the floor to go see what you have in stock, and that's going to ultimately save you time and money, and improve the customer experience and all those other things. But just being able to trust that as things are happening within your organization, that the inventory is keeping up with exactly everything that's happening. So for example, I drop an item and it breaks, we can quickly adjust that inventory to breakage, and it's adjusted out of our available stock, which down the road, if we didn't adjust that out, we think that we have that unit available to sell, and we fulfill we create a sales order to the customer. We go to pick that item, we can't find that item anywhere. So this is the kind of stuff that real-time inventory management, helps you overcome. It's not only just this is how much we have in stock. It's really around, as things are happening within your organization, whether it's issuing components into a production order, or receiving an item from a finished production order, or doing sales kits, making sure that the consumption of the inventory as you're doing those sales kits is accurate, because maybe all those items within the sales kit you sell individually as well, Mike. So making sure that the inventory is lined up to the items that are in kits, making sure that as events are happening, whether it's a breakage example like I talked about where we need to adjust stock, or a production order, that those things are happening in real time. Because in today's world of real-time information and transactions happening just so quickly, and coming from multiple different sources, it's really important that your stock levels are matching everything that's happening. And the other thing that we see a lot of times is some systems out there that we upgrade clients from only have kind of like one warehouse that all the stock sits in. And in today's world, there's inventory in multiple different locations, and those could be multiple locations within your physical four walls, but also with 3PLs and fulfilled by Amazon, and maybe you have a geographical expansion as part of your scalability. You need to start to see visibility of that stock, not necessarily as a one line item of this is how much stock we have, but this is how much stock we have and this is where it is. And as you start to track that inventory to that granular level, Mike, everybody becomes aware of that, and it becomes a culture of efficiency, right? Yep. And we saw a client recently that turned on perpetual inventory, real-time inventory management. And they started to realize that they were short stock and they couldn't figure out why. So then they started to identify, these certain items that were going missing. And lo and behold, it was a staff member that was selling those inventory items out the back door. And they ended up, seeing that this was happening, because now all of a sudden with real-time inventory management and down to a location level, we should know how much stock we have in all locations at all times. So it becomes very easy to spot check. And now instead of it being, oh yeah, our shrink's always 5%. Well, no, you shouldn't have any shrink, because as I mentioned, if I broke an item, we're going to write that item off right away. And if our inventory is being managed down to those, specific locations, we're also going to reduce a lot of like the picking errors that might happen, because we can actually physically tell an employee to go get these items from this location. So, there's all these things around, loss prevention. There's all these things around keeping track of things that are happening in real time, like kits, production orders, breakage, all of those types of things. That really is going to allow management to gain visibility into, where that shrink is going, instead of it just being, oh yeah, we always just have shrink. It's not a big deal. We just write it off, right? So with that, it really kind of, as I mentioned, gives you that organization of excellency, and everybody's focused on, making sure that everything's happening in real time.
Well, that's a crazy example and a great transition as to, why this matters, right? That brings up our last point, the change in your business culture as it pertains to inventory. I mean, that's, like I said, an extreme case, but that's, I'm sure that's not the only time that's happened, because when you don't put in the level of care that bleeds into other areas, right? If I as a company keep a messy warehouse and I show you I don't care about my own inventory, that sends a message to those working. It's an unfortunate that example got so out of hand, but you can really see how it creates an environment for inviting something like that, right? For an employee to start selling things out the back door, because it's like, well, hey, I noticed that management doesn't care about this stuff. They don't even notice that this stuff is missing, right? Some other examples of why this matters. You talked about needing to know what stock you have so you can fulfill these orders. And like you said, right now with a broken and fragmented supply chain, this becomes more important now than ever. Right. And
and Mike, the customers now, when they're placing orders, they want to know that you have that stock.
Oh yeah.
They're not just placing an order and it's like hope it comes, right? They want to know you have that stock before they even place the order.
Exactly. I'm not going to order with you, right? Because if I need this for Christmas, we've seen, with inflation, with rising prices across the board, consumers are almost, I want to say, me personally, at least, less price sensitive. I'm more concerned about, can I get my stuff now, right? I don't want to wait 3 months, 1 month, I'll just go and pay more for it if you have it. So my price and almost my inventory, my availability now is becoming more important than price in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to me more about this inventory visibility by location. How does this relate to when you're working with a 3PL or fulfilled by Amazon or others? Why does real-time inventory matter if I have a lot of arms selling my product in different places?
Selling across multiple channels, you mentioned earlier, starting to see trends. Well, you want to make sure that your supply chain and that you're getting that inventory into those channels in a timely fashion, so that you don't have stock outs within those channels. So for example, if you're using a 3PL to fulfill Wayfair orders and all of a sudden you don't have enough stock at your 3PL location to fulfill a Wayfair order, you're going to fall way down on the Wayfair search optimization, just because you're not meeting their fulfillment requirements of fulfilling an order within a certain period of time. And then on the fulfill by Amazon side of it, same thing. You want to identify these trends and make sure that you have the right stocking levels. The other thing you want to be able to do is get the inventory reconciled at, if when your 3PL ships that item out, that your inventory is adjusted in real time so that your revenue is recognized within your system. Same with fulfilled by Amazon. As the orders are being sold by Amazon and they're shipping your inventory out, you want to be recognizing the revenue in real time, so that you can look day over day and not just doing this month-end practice of keying in all those orders. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to do things like when you run an MRP, like a material requirements planning, you can look across the inventory in these different warehouse locations, your FBA, your 3PL, your West warehouse, your East warehouse, your Central warehouse. And you can start to, create your purchase orders and drop ship direct to your 3PL or to your fulfilled by Amazon or your bricks and mortar locations. So just that whole visibility to the locations is going to allow you to, have your financial statements basically real time, especially around sales performance and inventory performance. And with a tightened supply chain, that becomes important because lead times are getting longer, throughout that. Then, the next bullet down below that, integrating your business functions, accounting, warehouse management, production management, and sales. I kind of alluded a little bit into that with talking about, having these different physical locations and getting those orders in. Well, there's ways to integrate those orders coming in from Amazon or from your website, so that the sales function becomes a lot easier, so that those orders are just coming in real time and you're not having to key them. So that's going to increase your customer experience. The other thing that we're seeing around that, integrating the business function, we talked about the accounting already, just making sure that your balance sheet's reconciled at the inventory level so that you can produce an accurate, reliable financial statement. That becomes a lot faster because you're not having to spend all this time physically counting and reconciling. You can now just spot check throughout periods of time to make sure that your inventory's in line, and then you can do a physical based off of what your banking covenants are in order to meet the physical count requirements, or maybe a year-end count just to make sure that everything's where it's at. But we talked about it, Mike, and the supply chain issues that are happening right now. The other thing that we're going to see is the cost of landing your goods is going to be increased astronomically over the next few months, maybe even the few years here. The cost of landing a container or landing a skid of items is increasing, and being able to have a real-time perpetual inventory system where you can burden those landed costs into your items in real time is going to give management a lot better visibility into margins. Because maybe you're selling a bunch of these items, but the margins are terrible on it. So, it's time to increase or adjust your prices. So if you don't have a good footing on the inventory that you have and the cost that it's sitting in certain physical locations, it's going to be really hard for you to, analyze your pricing and your margins.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you touched upon the integrating business functions, that took me back to another podcast we recorded on integration more than meets the surface.
Yeah, and I mean, we at the 4Cs, we know that it's more than just the core SAP Business One system. It's really around the connect, communicate, control, and the core, and that's why we talk about the 4Cs, because these are all interrelated, Mike.
Absolutely, and you can see now, as we're trying to put together at least a whole story for you, right? And so you can see how these things impact each other, right? So you're not going to be able to get them all right at once, but as you start to think about these things one at a time, you can see that they're slowly but surely improving other processes throughout your business. And real time, I think, is got to be near the top. Real-time inventory is providing you that visibility. It's providing your customers that visibility. It's providing you the ability to fulfill orders. That enough can't be said about having that access, and then that in turn allows you to focus more on sharing that appropriate information with other business users in your organization and outside.
Yeah, and a lot of the customers that we're working with are on fast growth trajectories. So, multiple locations, just really getting a handle on processes and having that flexibility to adapt. Maybe you start selling on Granger tomorrow and being able to scale that very quickly, add a warehouse, get that inventory out to 3PL, or integrate to the Grainger EDI requirements so you can get orders in, get your stocking quantities up to them, because maybe you won't use a 3PL. How you go to market is completely up to you, because with SAP Business One and focusing on the 4 Cs, you really can kind of have that scalability to grow the way that you want to, and to be able to handle the transactions the way that you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tyson, another great informative opportunity to speak with you as always. I hope all of you can understand a little bit more now about the importance of real-time inventory and what it means and what it can do for your organization.
I do want to send out an invite if this is something that you don't know where you want to get started. So drop us an email and we can have a conversation with you and talk about your environment and how maybe you can get the most out of your SAP Business One system, or maybe you're not using SAP Business One and you need to understand how this really can help you. Because when you're in this world of day-to-day transactions, it's hard to kind of see exactly how that's all going to work for you. So reach out to us. We're here to help. This is what we enjoy doing, is helping you become a better organization. So we're here for that growth journey with you.
So with that, Tyson, I thank you. Listeners, I thank you as well. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Take care, everyone, and stay connected.
As the original SAP Business One Gold partner in North America, Third Wave Business Systems in Wayne, New Jersey partners with hundreds of growing businesses, and we work hard to ensure that every one of them is grounded in the 4 Cs. With SAP Business One at the core. Connected with their business ecosystem, enabling everyone to communicate with the core, and empowered with the control needed to thrive in a digital world. The 4 Cs, Third Wave, and you. Talk to us.